Now these muscles are definitely on your back, right? There's no question when we say these are back muscles, right? If you go to the gym and you're like, hey, it's a back day, these are the muscles that you are going to be working. So what we're really getting at here is the difference between what are called the extrinsic back muscles and the intrinsic back muscles. So these are all the extrinsic, but I want you to imagine for a moment that you are dissecting and you start peeling away all of these muscles. What you're going to see are other muscles that are running alongside your vertebral column or your spinal column. And these are postural muscles. Like the fact that I am not face planting on my desk right now is partially thanks to my postural muscles. I mean, my glutes are also helping me sit here, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to pick that apart too much. My point is, you've probably heard of muscles like the erectors of the back, for example. These are muscles that are in the back and they move the back. That is different than what you're looking at here. These muscles are actually limb muscles. All right, so let's just focus on two of them. This right here is the trapezius, which if you're anything like me, is a whole lot bigger than you thought. Or when I was growing up, I thought traps was just this. Like I thought like, oh yeah, working the traps. I thought the traps were only right here. No, they're pretty big. It's a massive muscle that spans all the way from the back of your occipital bone over to the scapula and then goes all the way down to T12. That's where your ribs are ending. Massive muscle, but it's not as massive as the latissimus dorsi. We can see half of it right here. And we're going to see all of these in greater detail in just a moment. But latissimus dorsi, which means broad muscle of the back, these embryologically began on the upper limb. Right? So if we rewound the clock, right, you are now an embryo. Congratulations, you look great, very youthful. If we did that, these and other muscles too would actually begin on the arm. And then what happens is they migrate. So like, for example, this right here is pectoralis major, right? People talk about, hey, you're gonna work your chest, right? You're gonna work your pecs. But this doesn't move the chest, right? The pec major is on the chest, but it moves your shoulder joint. Latissimus dorsi is on the back. It's the broadest muscle of the back. This thing is huge. But look at this. It's swerving over and it's inserting here on the humerus, meaning that this is a shoulder muscle. Trapezius kind of does actually move the back because what it's doing is it's moving the head. So it's going to pull on the head and pull it into extension, but it's mostly going to be operating and working on the scapula. This is what we mean when we say that back muscles may not actually be real back muscles. Another way of saying this is there are true back muscles, which are those postural ones, and then there are superficial back muscles, which is what we are focusing on today. Now, to do this, we're going to be using a study unit from Kenhub. Now, this is a premium feature, but I just want to show you just how amazing these study units can be because they're meant to guide you along piece by piece and teach you every part of the anatomy that you're going to need. And to do this, we're going to be looking at our atlas images, and we're going to start with that muscle I promised you called the latissimus dorsi. And this is a massive muscle now that you can see this thing. You can see it running along, or underneath, I should say, the inferior angle of the scapula. Now, what's interesting is some people, it actually goes on top of it. Like goes, like you could almost think of it like it's strapping down the inferior angle of the scapula here. But it's coming out of something called the thoracolumbar fascia, which is this really thick and dense piece of connective tissue in the low back. And it runs all the way down to the sacrum. But look how big this thing is, and yet all of its fibers are converging into this little cord. This is forming a portion of your armpit. Right? So if you like hold up your arm like this, right, kind of like you're swearing an oath or something, and you just kind of pinch, you're pinching mostly latissimus dorsi. You might get some teres major, there might be some other in there, but you are mostly getting latissimus dorsi. This is a huge muscle. And so this whole thing migrated onto the back in order to powerfully adduct the shoulders. So it's kind of like if I'm in this starting position, it's going to try not to hit my coffee maker on the side here. It's going to bring your arms down. So it's like, imagine my shoulders up here. I am adducting the shoulder, but it's also going to internally rotate. And then it's also going to perform extension, which is going back. So this huge muscle is going to be a shoulder muscle, all right? But that's not the only one. So if we go to this one, then we can see trapezius. Right? Trapezius is absolutely massive in its own right. Now we can actually break trapezius down into 3 different sections, and we're going to see that here. Right? So this is what's called the descending part. Then there is going to be this horizontal or transverse part. And then we have the ascending part. Now, we're not going to get into every single bit of the anatomy here. The main goal to understand is just that it is anchoring itself with these 3 different parts to the scapula. And what it's going to do is it's going to upwardly rotate the scapula. So I know I'm doing that with my shoulders, but I want you to think the scapula is actually rotating as well. It's kind of like you're doing a jumping jack. The scapula is going to be twisting. We call that upward rotation. But it's also going to be elevating the scapula. It's even capable of adducting it or retracting it. Because I want you to think about this. Right? You see, like, get this to come up here. See these fibers right there? They're grabbing onto the scapula in this portion. And just these fibers from the midline of your back to the spine of the scapula are going to just pull it back. So it's kind of like you're stretching. It's kind of like you're yawning and stretching in the morning as you're squeezing your scapulae together. That is going to be performed specifically by that transverse or horizontal part, right? Like the trapezius is absolutely massive. Just think that this thing migrated here and is now actually, this is the most superficial muscle of the back. So what we're talking about are these superficial muscles, but this is the superficial muscle of your back, just being on top of latissimus dorsi. So then we also get the serratus posterior muscles. So there's another muscle called serratus anterior that a lot of people are very familiar with. It's this very jagged, serrated looking muscle, as this name suggests, that's going to be on the side. That's the serratus anterior. But there is serratus posterior, but we divide it into 2 different muscles. You have the serratus posterior superior and the serratus posterior inferior. And so this right here is serratus posterior superior. And this is going to be just kind of going like, you can see it kind of anchored to the ribs if you look really closely. It's like scooting underneath the scapula there. And what it's going to do is it's going to assist in breathing. In fact, this is an established rule. If a muscle is attached to the ribs, it is going to have an impact in respiration, whether that's inhalation or expiration or exhalation. It doesn't really, my main point here is, if a muscle's attached to the ribs, you know it's going to be involved in breathing. Now, some of them are a lot better than others, but they're all going to be involved with breathing. So this is serratus posterior superior. But then we also have serratus posterior inferior. So if you want to orient yourself, so this is like the very end of the rib cage. So we're looking at T12, T11, T10, T9, T8, right? So on and so forth. So what's happening is it's swooping over and it's grabbing onto those ribs. Now what it's going to do is it's going to help to depress those ribs and actually help with breathing out. All right, so then from there, we meet the rhomboids. So this is specifically rhomboideus major. There's also a rhomboideus minor. Now these are on the exact same plane as each other, meaning like they're just on top. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Imagine this is rhomboideus major, then there's like rhomboideus minor is just on top. They're on the same plane. I don't even know if that's coming across. But a lot of times people just kind of mix them together and call them the rhomboids. So this muscle right here is, both of them together are going to adduct or retract the scapulae. It's going to just bring them in back. So again, it's kind of like you're just stretching just like this. And then the last muscle we're going to be discussing is called the levator scapulae. So levator scapulae is a strap muscle. So it's shaped like a strap. And this thing is going to be attaching to the cervical vertebrae. Now, specifically, this is going to be the transverse processes of cervical vertebrae 1 through 4. So C1 through C4. And then it's going to come down to the superior angle. But what's interesting about this muscle is depending on the position of the shoulders, it could do different things, right? So like, because I mean, I want you to think about it like this. An origin of a muscle is going to be the more stable end, the more fixed end. The insertion is going to be the more mobile end. But if you look at this, well, the neck can move, and so can the scapula. So origin and insertion technically can flip around, but I don't want to overly confuse you. I just want to bring your attention to the fact that if you kind of like keep your shoulders anchored down and this muscle contracts, it can laterally flex your neck, kind of move it to the side. But if you're not like keeping your shoulders in place and you're keeping your head in place, it'll elevate the scapulae, and which is why it's a really good name. I mean, its name is levator scapulae. It's like an elevator. It's elevating. All of that makes sense. So these muscles are the superficial back muscles. So again, if we go back up here, you can see all of them just kind of placed right there. This is a really interesting and fascinating group of muscles that, again, they don't move the back. I mean, they might move the back a little bit here or there, but it's not really their goal. Their goal is other things. It's moving the limbs. It's involved with breathing, so on and so forth. So again, this is all part of a study unit. So again, our study units are basically, which by the way, you also have this video that's going to be embedded inside here. I think this is like 17-minute long video. Really, really cool to see all these features. Now, these are premium features, but these are designed to teach you everything you need to know about these muscles. And then we also like to embed our quiz feature inside of all of these study units. Now, to help, we're going to actually link down below a free article, and you can actually see this article right here. This is all about the back muscles. You can see it talking about extrinsic and intrinsic back muscles. This is 100% free. We're going to go ahead and leave a link down the description below, so be sure to check that out. But my hope is that you learned something, and now you can impress your friends by telling them, hey, like if they're at the gym and like they're doing back day, it's like, that's not back day. You want to do back day, you need to be just doing posture. Basically. Don't do that. That'd be weird. Don't be that weird person. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what else you'd like us to discuss in future videos. But thanks for hanging out with us, and I will see you next time.